Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. What a solid answer to that question, OP. Succinct, unassumptive, and very direct given your lack of information. Any, sane person would have appreciated it. More right after a short pause. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Customer didn't like my answer. I work in a big box store and this happened over the weekend. I was on the self-checkout when a lady approached me. She had a craft kit in her hand. She asked me if her daughter would like this and held out the craft kit so I could look at it. I tell her if your daughter enjoys crafts, then it's perfect. If she doesn't enjoy crafts, then I would find something else. The lady made a weird face at me and demanded I get my manager. I wasn't sure why she wanted a manager, but I put in for a manager in my handheld. The manager that came over is leaving the company and has only a few days left till he's gone, so he's been telling the customers how he feels. When he came over, the lady told him that I need to be fired and she didn't like my answer to her question and that I'm rude and unprofessional. He asked the lady what her question was and what did I say. So the lady told him that she isn't sure if her daughter would like the craft kit and wanted an opinion. She tells him in a snotty voice, "Your cashier told me that if my daughter doesn't like crafts, then to find something else." I don't like that answer, and that was rude of your cashier to say that to me. What are you going to do about it? My manager looks at the lady and calmly tells her, "Maybe you should spend time with your daughter and see what she likes instead of expecting a stranger to know what she likes." Lady was taken back by his response and wanted him to get his manager and have him fired. My manager informed the lady that he's leaving the company in 2 days and doesn't care what happens, because what are they going to do? Fire him? He already quit. At this point, the lady looks mad and is huffing and puffing. She takes the craft kit and throws it on the ground and says very loudly, "I will never shop at this store again." As she's walking away, my manager and I bust out laughing. I'm sure this lady will come back. They always do. And our second story. If we don't like it, leave? Okay. Many years ago, I worked for a company that the compensation for most employees was base plus bonus. The bonus was approximately a quarter of annual salary. The year I was hired, bonus structure was a simple, straightforward calculation and paid annually in January of each year based on production prior year. 2 years later, they decide to restructure the bonus program. Instead, each team is given a quota. No one receives a bonus until the quota is reached, but once the quota is reached, you would receive bonuses monthly based on a slightly different yet still easy to calculate formula. The teams were broken down into a team of 2 salespeople, another team of 2 salespeople, and a team of 4 salespeople. The team of 4 had a quota that was slightly more than double the other 2 teams, but top sales guy, one of the owners, was in that team. In August, 4-person team makes quota, so in September, staff gets bonus on work done for that team. Come October, paychecks come out and no bonus for September sales. I asked bookkeeper about it and she says, "Well, quota hasn't been reached." And I said, "We made annual quota in August and we got bonus in September." This is when we find out that top salesperson / owner had removed himself from 4-person team and made a 1-person team, but kept quota the same for both the now 3-person team without him and for his 1-person team. That made those quotas almost impossible to reach and meant no one would receive a bonus for any work done for either team. I complained that this was not right and wasn't what we'd agreed to in our compensation package, and that by doing this they were effectively cutting the compensation of every staff by thousands of dollars a year. Owner tells me it is what it is, and if you don't like it, you're free to leave. So 2 months later, I left. Because I'd also told every other staff member what they'd done and why no bonuses had been paid in October. By early March, all but 2 other staff members had also quit. This left them with an all-new and untrained staff, which eventually impacted client services and deliverability, and within a year, 3 salespeople had left, and within another year, the company gone out of business. And our next story. How I ended up having 2 weeks of playing video games, watching Netflix, and actually sleeping in the office. I live in a third world country. Working here is pretty crappy, especially if you work with a crappy company. Laws lean heavily in favor of the employer, and the one that punishes them aren't really enforced that well. This started in late 2019. I was working as a graphic designer in a pretty crappy company. I was their only graphic designer for over 2 years by that time. I had another colleague, but he left the company before me. And as many small and crappy businesses at the time, we were struggling with late salaries. The thing about this company is that not only everybody had late salaries, unfortunately, I had a lot of them. They managed to compile over the years, and by the time it got to 6 late salaries, I've had enough and decided to do something about it. I was actively looking for another job, but the market was crap, so emailed my employer and told him that I won't be coming to the office anymore. I'll be working from home until they pay me at least half of what they owe me. He said, fine, work from home. After a couple weeks, I started to slack off. I couldn't find it in me to work anymore. Tasks that used to take me 10 minutes started taking me a couple of hours. So, and after a month or so of this, the manager called me and asked me to come to the office because he needs to talk to me about something. I was like, fine, I'll pass by when I'm free. I went there after a couple of days and we sit and talk. I noticed some graphic designers' resumes on his desk, so I get what's going on. He says, I'm sorry to say this, but the CEO said that he had enough of you and he wants me to fire you. I burst out laughing uncontrollably as if I heard the funniest joke ever. When I calmed down, I said, fine by me, give me my money and I'm out of your hair. He said, fine, we're hiring 2 new graphic designers and we need you to hand over all the files that you have to them. I said, fine, I wanted to be as professional as possible. One thing that's worth mentioning is that this company had only 2 computers fit for design work. So I'm entitled to all my bending salaries plus a notice period, which is a month since I've been working there for over 2 years, plus a vacation and ticket salary. Next month, the new designers come, I introduce myself and start the process of the handover. Luckily, I'm a pretty organized person, especially when it comes to workspace. All my files are well organized, so the handover didn't take much more than a week. I stayed for another week teaching them the ropes since they were new to the workforce and didn't have that much experience in the field. So by the end of the second week, I hand over my computer to the new guy, and then the manager called me and told me to go to the accountant to get my money. When I went there to get my checks, I noticed that it wasn't everything. I knew exactly what I was owed by them, and the amount they gave me wasn't full, so I asked the accountant, and he said that the manager told him that my notice period is just 2 weeks, and after doing some calculations, that's the exact amount I was missing, 2 weeks of my notice period. I said, F no, it's a month, and I'll take every last penny of it. So I stormed to the manager's office and told him that I want my money full. He said that since they don't need me anymore, and since the new recruits are good, you don't need to come over anymore, so we'll pay you for 2 weeks and you may not come next week. I said, no, I'll take all the money that you owe me, and I'm owed a month's worth of salary, so I'll take it. He said, no, you won't take it unless you come for the full month. I said, it's fine by me, I can come for the whole month. I don't have anything better to do. Remember how they only had 2 computers and they hired 2 designers? So when I came to work on the 3rd week, there was no vacant computer for me to work on, so... Well, the first 2 days I was there just watching Netflix and having fun on my phone. After that, I started bringing my Nintendo Switch and its charger with me and played all day long. Yeah, they weren't too happy about it. Spent 2 weeks of me just playing games in the office, watching Netflix, and having fun in general. The CEO came one time and found me actually sleeping on my desk. And our last story. I didn't let my neighbors park on my property. I, 26-year-old female, live in the downstairs apartment of a twin home converted into 2 apartments. I've lived here for 4 years and during that time became friendly with the woman, 80-year-old female, that lived in the attached twin. She owned her home and also the small vacant lot next door to her side. The plot's about the size of a small twin home. She was lovely, having lost her husband and son, and her grandson was very busy, so I'd hang out with her, maintain her yard, and run errands. She was truly one of the best people I've known, but sadly passed away last year. Naturally, she left her home to her grandson, but I was shocked to learn that she had left the vacant lot to me. I've been saving everything I can to build a home on that lot, and I'm close to my goal, hoping to break ground this year. My neighbor's house, now her grandson's, has 4 bedrooms and 1.5 baths, but he's living with his girlfriend and 6 others, so it's 8 people total, with 8 cars in street parking only. They've been parking on my lot, which has messed up the lawn, and they've also run over flower beds multiple times. I first put up private property, no parking sign. GIC, it wasn't them. But same cars, no difference. I happened to be walking into my apartment one day when I noticed one of the neighbors parking and politely asked them to stop. explaining the situation. She told me it was part of her lease that they had private parking on my lot. I told her I was sorry, but to please stop and let roommates know. It's been 2 months and they've not stopped parking there. I've tried politely asking several of them, left a note on each car, no change. I finally left notes again last week saying it'd be towed at their expense if they didn't stop parking there. 3 of them didn't stop and got towed. They obviously think I'm the a-hole and want me to pay because it's a vacant lot that I inherited. I now feel like a Karen. But I worked on that lot for years to make it look nice, which it no longer does, and it's literally my property. Edit. I'll be reaching out to a lawyer today, then looking into fencing options pending that conversation. To clarify a few things that have come up, I used the word a lot in the post, meaning property, not a literal parking lot. It was never used for parking while she owned it, and it's zoned for residential use. Grandson did not live with his grandmother. She lived alone. He and his girlfriend moved in after inheriting her home, along with their 6 friends. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.